Join me as I make my first pair of leather shoes at the Chicago School of Shoemaking and Leather Arts. This is how it starts off. They give you the bottom part of your shoes as well as the insoles. I chose black for everything. Next, we have to use the stencil that they cut out based on our shoe size. We traced it with a kind of like a Sharpie. Next, I used the rotary cutter to kind of cut out the stencil. We could use scissors, but I chose to use the actual rotary knife to do it. It was pretty smooth and easy, but you have to take your time because you don't want to cut along the stencil. As you can see, I did a pretty good job cutting the first part of the stencil. You have to cut each part out as well as the tongues of each shoe. I chose a black leather, of course, because I wanted black canvas shoes. Next, you have to punch holes in the stencil because those holes are going to be what you use with the same little Sharpie. It's kind of silver marker. I used a weight to hold it down so that I could hold my phone also and show you what I was doing, but you have to make marks where you're going to put your holes. Next, I can't remember what this is called, but we use this to make the holes in the leather so that we can actually sew through those. So it's a whole process for this. Did pretty good punching all of the holes for all of them. It's a very tedious process. This was an 8-hour class, but it was well worth my time, and I value so much how much it takes to make handmade shoes now just by doing it by myself. You have to punch each hole separately. That little tool, I can't remember what it's called, but that little tool made it so easy to do it. Now I have to cut the holes for the eyelets so that my shoestrings can go through that. So that one is a little bit bigger than the last one that will be used for actually stitching the leather onto the base of the shoe. I had to mark where the hole punch will go through, and now I'm actually punching the holes for the eyelets, which will hold the shoe. So those are much bigger, as you can see. Finished it up. That was pretty easy. Now I have one whole shoe done with all of the stitching holes as well as the eyelets. Now I'm going to put the actual eyelets in there, and then I'm going to go and punch those in, which is a simple process, especially if you have the right machinery. I chose black for everything because I'm going black on black for my entire shoe because that's the only color shoe that I don't have yet. So I'm going to use these for my summer wear. Now, as you can see, I pressed the first two already. This machine is so cool and so easy. You put it on there, you press it down, and bam, as you can see, it's super easy, and you have your eyelets for your shoestrings. Super cool. Finished up all 5 of my eyelets for my shoestrings, and now I'm going to do the second one. Finish that one up. As you can see, they look really good, and it looks like something you would buy from the store. So this is actually legit. I loved this process. I will absolutely do it again. I want to go back for the Jordan session. Now I'm stitching all of the leather onto the base of my shoe. Now this was probably the most tedious part because you have to go a certain way through the leather. You gotta go down and back up and skip a loop. It was a lot, but because I know how to sew, and even if you don't, I can't say that actually helped me because it's pretty simple. You just put it through the holes. You already made the holes in the leather, and then you just stitch it through each hole in the base of the shoe to match it. So that was pretty simple also. But a little sewing, hand sewing background also helps. As you can see, you just pull it through. Pretty simple. Now I'm showing a different angle so that you can actually see how it's coming along with the sewing of the base to the leather. Not hard at all, but again, this probably took the longest time of everything because if you miss a hole, you got to start over. I did have to start over on my second shoe, but it wasn't that bad. I started over and I was still able to finish before the 8 hours were up. You see that? All right, she's stitching, doing a pretty good job. Next up, these are the Jordan shoes that they make. So they have a 5-day class that you can create your own Jordan. So this is a pair that they have for display that someone created. You can have different leathers, all kinds of things. So if you're interested, I would say sign up for that one also. Now I'm putting my tongue on my first shoe. You have to sew around the tongue also to the front of the shoe. So that was pretty easy once it's on there. But as you can see, it's a lot of string, but I got it done. Now you have to tighten the string because you don't want it to be loose and you have gaps in the leather. So you have to go around and tighten each one of the loops for the shoestrings, or not the shoestrings, sorry y'all, for the sewing, the stitching for the leather onto the base. So I tightened it all up, looking good. Look at that. Did a pretty good job, and I did this all on my own. I'm making my own canvas shoe, y'all. Showcasing you both shoes. Got the tongue on both of them, and now it's time to add the tightener for the tongue so that the tongue won't flip all out. Oh yeah, I had to add the string at the bottom. I didn't even remember that part. So those are legit canvas shoes, like something you would find on Amazon or Keds. Now I'm going to make my slits for my shoestring on my tongue. This is optional. You didn't have to do this, but I like for my shoestrings to be held tightly on the tongue of my shoe so that the tongue isn't moving side to side. So first you have to punch the holes to make the little divots in it so that you can see where to mark it, and then the young lady is going to show me how to use, it's almost like a knife, to cut the leather and make there it is. We use this at Lane Tech during wood shop, so I already had a little background in that. You're going to use that and hit it a couple of times, go straight through, and then I'll have my slits for my shoestrings to go through. So that was pretty easy also. The whole process is pretty easy. So if you're interested and you like hands-on projects and you want to have something that you can actually wear, look at that. Pretty simple. Now I have to stitch my tongue onto the side of the shoe so that it won't come apart. So that part was kind of tedious just because you can't see it in the inside too well, so you kind of got a feel for the holes, but got it done, as you can see. And you have to make 3 or 4 loops just to hold that tongue on there tightly so that it's not coming all loose. Next, I'm adding my shoestrings. This is the final process, using the classic method that I learned growing up to go from the outside in, and it worked out pretty well. As you can see, the whole entire shoe is put together now. Started out as different pieces that I had to cut to stencil, use the stencil to trace, and now I am actually adding the shoestring so that my shoe will be complete. Yay! Here is the finished product. These are a 9.5. They look just like something I will buy from Keds or any kind of canvas shoes. I actually bought a few pair. Those are those on my actual foot. Yes, I made my own pair of canvas shoes from scratch, y'all.